Welcome back to Outback Oracles. We've got 4 stories today from the 60s, 70s and 80s, which took place in Gippsland, Tasmania and Adelaide, all of which were submitted by viewers of the channel. I've got a new type of video for you today, and I want to be completely clear about what it is and where I want to go with this. Over the past few months, a lot of you have left me personal, detailed accounts in the comments. Things you've seen, experiences you've had, and instead of just letting them sit there, I'm going to start collating them here and sharing them in this format. These are all written accounts, and I'm not here to verify them or call them fake. I want to leave that for you to decide for yourself. And eventually, I want to turn this into a series where I interview any of you with stories over the phone and put it into this video format to really add some credibility and context to these stories. So with that being said, if you've got a story to share yourself, this is the place to do it. Leave it in the comments, message me on X, or email me at this address. I'll treat everything except for the comments under this video as confidential, and I'll only share what you explicitly give me permission to. With that out of the way, let's get into our first batch of accounts. Our first story comes from Felix Baxter, and here's what they had to say. 60 years ago, their grandmother and fiance saw a glowing red object lying in their cow paddock in South Gippsland, which interestingly is close to the Bass Strait Triangle, an area with a great deal of sightings, and probably most famously the disappearance of Frederick Valentich.
Then came his final chilling words, "It's not an aircraft." After that, he vanished completely. His Cessna was never found, despite extensive searches, and no trace of him was ever recovered.
They described this object in the paddock as looking like a train made of glass, something like this. And they reported seeing little insect-like shapes moving around inside the craft. They say the story was passed by their grandmother on her deathbed. Her husband had died a year after the sighting. And someone tagged on to this. Janie says the area they lived in Gippsland was a bit of a hotspot about 55 years ago, roughly lining up with our last story. Her and her mum were closing up the paddock gate when they looked up and saw a silver saucer. She reported that the bottom was spinning and it was just hovering there, with no noise whatsoever. Her mother yelled to her dad to see if he had seen it as well. So it sounds like we have 3 witnesses here. She says she would have been about 8, but she's never forgotten this. As soon as her mother yelled to her father, it had zipped off, gone. And her parents saw very similar sightings on a few occasions in the same area. Moving on to our next story, Jeff's given a really detailed account, which happened around somewhere in between 1972 and 1973. In Adelaide, South Australia, him and his family were out in the backyard stargazing when they noticed a star-like object moving across from the Adelaide hills from left to right. They initially thought it was a plane, but it changed direction, horizontal to vertical without turning, just a sharp angle. They noticed others moving in the opposite direction, and then one stopped dead, was still for a while, and dropped straight down to the ground. Something he described looking like a bird of prey swooping down, almost like they were looking for something in the hills. And he reports that this happened for several months every night. They contacted the local Edinburgh airbase and got no response but laughter. And one night, while watching what he described as an orb-type craft, a large light blue triangle passed directly overhead. He describes the main body of the triangle as having no features. It was just like a light sky blue triangle. It had 3 dull khaki hemispheres on each side, which he describes as being too big for windows, and they reminded him of lifeboats on a cruise ship. Whatever these were, it looked dull, as if they were powered down, and at the rear of the triangle there were what he described as looking like solar panels. He got a good look at it through binoculars. Through the binoculars, he said, it was like looking at something the size of a 20-cent piece, but at arm's length. He was 12 or 13 at the time, but he's 66 now, and he spent his whole life looking up and trying to find out what it was. To his knowledge, he's never seen an alien, but he says one morning he found a lump under the skin of his right thumb, in between the nail and the knuckle. It wasn't there the day before, and there was no entry wound. He broke the skin with a sewing needle, and it popped out. It was black and the size of a grain of rice. It was rounded at both ends, and the consistency of the object was of brittle glass or even maybe coal. Perhaps it's an implant. He said he didn't keep it and he just put it down as one of the ever-expanding list of things he can't explain. Says he put it out there to see if anyone else had a similar experience. Feel free to let him know in the comments. And our last comment today comes from Troy, who said back in the mid-late 1980s he lived in a house in the Meander Valley, which was the subject of our recent video, where many people in the town have been reporting strange lights in the sky for over a month.
On the 6th of July, there was I got a message from Mike up the road to say, look, there's some strange lights over Mother Cummings. Went outside, had a look. Next night, they were up again, and pretty much every clear night since.
He was only young at the time, but sometime during that period he had seen similar strange lights in the sky, also over Great Western Tiers. He says he doesn't remember a whole lot of this himself, but others in his family do. His mother had said there were lots of instances of strange lights in the sky, and one night the sky was lighting up like this. And while she was too afraid to go outside, his brother claimed to see a cigar-shaped object over Great Western Tiers, as a light or a shadow when the sky flashed. He says he thinks the lights were even moving towards it, but he's not 100% sure, and he's only going off rough, fragmented memories and what his family experienced at the time. If you want to watch the full video on what's happening in Tasmania, you can watch it here. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and if you don't want to miss another one like it, subscribe. If you've got a story that you want to share, you can comment it below, or you can message me on X or at this email address. I'd also love to do some interviews over the phone, so if that's something you're interested in, get in touch, and I'll see you in the next video.